don't you just start this episode with me by taking a nice deep breath in and then letting it just drop out of you. Welcome to the first episode of 2025, y'all. I am so obsessed with this year already. I have been feeling passion, excitement, curiosity, draw towards this year for a while now. 2024 was a truly spectacular year for me, personally, in my work, professionally, just emotionally, spiritually, physically, in so many ways. Last year, many things that I had been working towards for a very long time, years and years, just really felt like they came through and showed up. It was a really magical year because I had thought 2023 was going to be that year. And I remember 2023 still being a kind of up and down and really intense, just still working through a lot of healing and recovery kind of year for me, where 2024 just opened me up. And I wanted to take some time at the beginning of this episode before I really dive into where I'm going to take y'all to reflect on why that was. And I have to say, I hope to do an episode on this later this year, but I truly believe 2024 showed me the power of healthy, secure relationship, just the absolute magic that can create in your life. Like, it's kind of hitting me as I'm sharing all of this with you. I'm like, wow, that's really what was such a huge game changer. And even as I say this, I feel some of that. Ooh, can I say this loud? I mean, so much of my journey, as y'all know, the last 4 or 5 years post-divorce, really the 4 years post-divorce were so much about individualism for me, really individuating and finding myself, having come from a world where I never got to be a me, really. I was always a part of someone else's life, right? Either a daughter or a wife or a mother. Those last 4 years were a lot about digging deeply into me and finding a way to depend on me and to really only heavily depend on a few people that I really trusted. And so building a lot of internal strength, a lot of no matter who comes or goes, I've got me. You guys may have heard or kind of can feel that in those first 2 episodes from the podcast that were from so long ago. And this year was really coming to the realization and the healing, really, of just how powerful true, good, healthy relationship can be. Having the support of my partner this last year, having a safe place to come home to, having someone I love and adore that has my back. Wow, y'all. Having never had a healthy relationship like that in my life, I had no idea what that could really do. I had no concept of how empowering that could be. And, I look back over the last year and I can see that journey with my partner is what really opened so many different spaces for me over the year, spaces of personal exploration, spaces of showing up much bigger. Through that relationship, I was able to resource so much more deeply in myself and the relationship, which then fills my cup, which then runs over into everything else in my life, into me as a mom, into me as a coach, into my business, right into my clients that I work with. So that was really so unexpected, such a beautiful just timing moment for me of something that I had really learned to, be able to survive and even thrive without, right? As you guys know, I really moved through my life not in a space of I need a partner to do these things as much as I've got me. And then what a beautiful evolution to this last year, realize, oh, and I can have a really amazing partner and it can be even more. I think I've described it in the podcast before as this type of relationship is not a 1 + 1 = 2. It's like a 1 + 1 = 10. For both me and Joe, the relationship has really expanded and helped both of us launch more into who we most want to be. So I took some time at the end of the year, like I advised all of you to do my 2024 review. And I was blown away at the amazing things that happened this last year, the creations that were brought into the world that at times I had a friend today remind me hey, by the way, you started a community. I was like, oh my God, that's right. I did do that. That exists. That is now here in the world. And I think with all that incredible momentum built from 2024, I went into 2025 so grounded in my vision for the future and in just beautiful, open excitement about what's ahead. And I wanted to give you guys a little peek. I want to acknowledge in this moment real quick that I share so openly about my life and what it is like now. Sometimes I feel some tension around that for myself because I know that is not where y'all are at right now. And at times it feels unfair to even talk about what my life is like. But I share it because I want it to be this clarion call echoing back to all of you that it can be so much better than you even now. You can't fathom it. I didn't fathom this. Guys, the theme of 2024 was oh shit, healthy relationships actually fucking amazing. And it expands and makes me bigger than I am on my own. What? Relationship doesn't drain and completely steadily decline my mental health and make me so tired and sleep deprived from over catering to someone else that my dreams start falling by the wayside? What? Just know, as I share, know that it is coming from a space of deep, deep love for all of you, in the hopes that you will hear the experiences I am having and go, shit, it's possible. Because 5 years ago, I was in the exact same boat as all of you. I know what you are feeling. I know how dark it is. I know how hard it is. And I love that because I know that, I never minimize what it takes, right, to have the life you most desire. And I'm also hell yeah, let's do it. It's so fucking worth it. I would not trade all of those years for what I'm experiencing now. The hard was worth it. I'd do it over again for sure. One of the things I wanted to share with y'all that I just thought would be so fun, it was so special for me, was, you guys know, I'm a romantic at heart. I want to live in a rom-com. And I do. I have steadily turned my life into, in many ways, what I would consider a really lovely rom-com with lots of romance and lots of comedy. But the romantic in me has always dreamed of being somewhere on a New Year's Eve where I get to be kissed by someone when the clock strikes midnight. Someone that I am so in love with in a huge crowd of people. And this year was the year I got to do that in our community. Some friends of ours threw an amazing, just phenomenal New Year's Eve party. It was everything I could have wished for, to go and be surrounded by so many people that I love, that I have memories with, experiences with, that feel like family to me. I truly have so much more of a soul family now than I did just a year ago. And then to go with my partner, and I specifically told Joe, it was so cute. We were kind of cuddled up right before, and I was like, well, maybe we'll just stay here. As we hit the 2 minutes before, I was like, no, we got to stand up. I want to be standing. And I want you to kiss me. And We did. And we were in this room surrounded by people that we love, dressed up. We looked so fucking cute. Joe was in these adorable bell bottoms that he had bought that week from a thrift store. He is such a good thrifter. He just talk about my 70s dream. And, you know, to have all these gorgeous like lights, all these colored lights going on above us. My friend's space that he has is just so beautiful. And to be kissing this man that I deeply, deeply love, more than I have ever loved, really. Yeah, more than I've ever loved a partner before, obviously, but in so many ways, he has become so much more to me than that, like truly a soulmate. And in that moment, something that I haven't shared as much, I think, on the podcast, but really since we got back from medicine and I kind of shared with all of you all that breakup that we had, in the months following that, I have really dropped into more of seeing myself long term with Joe and really starting to consider, you know, building a life with him. And as many of you know, he lives with me, he's moved in, but really finalizing that, making that, having conversations about our future, what we want, are those things aligned? And I don't know, y'all, that is an incredibly special moment to stand on the threshold of a year, to be moving from a year that has been so incredible. And not that it wasn't without its highs and lows, but I went through them with him. He showed up for me in so many ways. You know, that episode where I described how he has never pressured or controlled or manipulated me. He has, while also balancing absolutely knowing what he wants and not just capitulating, right, to everything I want. I definitely need a strong partner who knows himself. To have gone through a year with that man and to be crossing the threshold into a new year knowing like, this is my person. This is what I want. And to look him in the eyes and say, you're what I want. And him be like, I'm here. I'm yours. Y'all, it was really, really fucking magical. And like I said, I want to do an episode later on in the year where I really dive into more of what it took to get to that, right? I mean, I've mentioned a little bit how much my disorganized attachment flared up this last year. It is no fucking joke healing that. And I think for the rest of my life, I'll probably be healing it, but it is leaps and bounds different than where it was when I started at the beginning of last year. So why I wanted to drop in and really share and kind of convey, I think, some of the more emotional feeling piece of what transitioning into this year has felt like for me is because, as this episode is entitled, right, I feel like I am coming into my depth as a coach on being able to confidently say there is absolutely a better way. Where I know a year ago, I couldn't say with certainty, this is a better way. You can have a life where you get to honor your desires and you get to follow your soul calls. And contrary to what the world has made us believe, that will end in ruin. And I mean, God, how many movies, books, stories do we have about women who follow their bliss, who follow what calls to them and end up in horrifically tragic, I'm thinking like Anna Karenina kind of shit. There is any theme that we have seen played over and over again. It's this idea that women who follow their bliss or trust themselves end up in ruin. And that's definitely what I believed 5 years ago. And it was really taking a huge leap to go out on the limb of, okay, I hope this is going to work. I'm just really trusting this deep soul call inside me that I can't ignore any longer. And so now 5 years later, to be able to really be coming into my own, especially through this partnership this last year, really getting to see the potential, what is possible when you are paired with someone who has the same values, has the same priorities as you, that contrary to what we've been sold and they've tried to scare us with, it's deeply fulfilling. It is an incredible journey. It is where I want to be. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I want that to be a huge focus of 2025. This message that there is a better way. With that beautifully long intro, let's dive in and let's start 2025 off with a gorgeous, deep, powerful bang, which is going to come from this, I guess I would call it just some copy I was writing yesterday. So I spent some time yesterday sitting down here at the beginning of the year, just really trying to energetically open and connect in with the essence of my business as we head into the new year, and really tapping into the depth and breadth of what I'm really doing here with all of you, even beyond the piece of, it's really kind of like, I feel like sometimes the container that we're working with is your journey through considering divorce. But as those of you who've coached with me one-on-one know, yes, our focus is helping you make the decision, because absolutely that's fucking important. But God, do I have so much more than just that for you. I think I can with a lot of confidence say that if you were to ask clients who've coached with me one-on-one, what did they actually get? It wouldn't just be, I got a decision. It's, I got reconnection with my deepest self. That then is the place that everything from here on out, once you make that decision, gets made from. So this is not just like, yes, we're in this incredible considering divorce journey. And yes, we are focused on helping you make a decision. But a lot of the tools, the places I take you are so much deeper than that. So as I was connecting into this space, this just flowed out of me. I love sometimes when I'm writing copy for my business, it's like I tap into a source that is bigger than me, and it just kind of pours its words through me. So I wanted to read this to you guys just to kind of kick us off and drop us in. Since time immemorial, women have been called upon to sacrifice their most deeply hoped after and closely held desires on the altars of marriage and family. For too long, the answer to the world's pain and struggles has been to ask women to overfunction and under-receive, to settle and be content with what is, rather than trusting their intuitive instincts and following their soul calls. Messaging has centered around fearing our power, distrusting where passion and bliss call us. Words tell us to be afraid of what truly enlivens our souls, and instead to be tempered, restrained, and the good little girls that a society ruled by men can control. We've been told to deny our hopes and dreams with the reassurances that our sacrifices are worthy ones, that the husbands and children we pour our life energy into are deserving recipients, that it must be this way for the world to go on. But I now know there is a better way. So I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to take you guys in through the rest of the copy. But wow, right, y'all? As I was fucking writing this, I mean, as I'm writing it, I don't really feel it as much because it's just flowing through me. But then I went back and read it and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's go. Like, hell yes. And I really felt powerfully the truth for me in that statement of there really is a better way. And I know it. I've lived it. An image that kept coming up for me was Brene Brown in her Netflix special talking about when you have to trek off into the wilderness. You have to find your way, and it's scary and it's uncomfortable and it's, the terror of the unknown. I had to do that. As you all know, 5 years ago when I left my marriage, that was a huge risk for me because at the time I had no foundation in myself. Really, like truly, my foundation had been built in the true blue Mormon stay-at-home mom, and I was stepping out into the unknown of a world of divorce, which was so stigmatized and just the worst thing you could think of when I was growing up. So not only I'm stepping out into this world of divorce, but also having to learn how to provide for myself with no background, no resume. I had never even been told, like, what do you want to do for a career? They just assumed, your career is going to be a mom. Just you're going to be a mom. And I sent that. Thankfully, I had assets from my marriage, and I went and I took those assets and I invested them in myself. And I really went all in on what I was passionate about, which was becoming a coach. And from there, it was like, well, hell yeah, I'm going to have my own business. And this deep down inside of me, hope that there could be a better way. I did not know that that was a reality or a certainty, y'all. I just hoped. And I knew enough about, sometimes I tell you guys to go to that space. If you were to die, what would you be most sad you didn't experience, right? I knew that if I didn't experience soul filling, the kind of stuff written about in books and history and love songs kind of connection with a partner by the end of my life, I was not going to be happy. I was going to get to that point and be like, what the fuck? No. But I knew it wasn't a guarantee, right? I just had the hope and the soul call deep inside that was like, I think this might be possible. And from there, that built into starting to believe, okay, maybe there could be a path. Maybe there could be a life where I could actually follow my desires and trust what brings me bliss and where I feel passionate. And that instead of that hurting the people that I love, that maybe that could actually lead me the opposite direction to more connection, more abundance, and more safety than I could imagine. And really, that is the essence of what you guys hear in the vibration I transmit through this podcast every week. That is forged through the path I've been creating. Really, if I think about it more in depthly over the past 8 years, ever since I first walked through the doors of my first therapy appointment way back in 2017. This is a path that has been absolutely terrifying at times, that has called me to go deeper into myself than I would ever have imagined, that has led to losing lots of people in my life that no longer fit, right? Or that I should say that I no longer fit in what they needed me to be. This was a path where I really had to see my shadows and to face my dragons and befriend them. God, there's so much work I've done this last year around that I'm so excited to bring to all of you. To leave for me what it was a stifling but predictable known, right? I think so many of you are going to relate to that. I'm not growing, but at least I know what's going to happen tomorrow. And instead to really trek out into that wilderness, depending on my intuition and my bravery to guide me. And y'all, along that path, as I was thinking back over this, I was like, oh my God, that's the path that led me on the adventures that brought me into contact with so many of the people that I now call my soul family. That path is what brought me mentors who had gone before me and could reach back and show me the way. That's the path that brought me lovers, right? Lovers that helped me expand for the period that I was with them and that I look back fondly. That's the path that brought me lovers that then became best friends and family. I think so much of my best friend, Matt. In the process of so much death, right? There was a lot that I released. There was also so much birth happening and so much more coming in that journey of learning to trust myself and to trust when the universe was saying, this needs to die, let it go. And that if I would let go, there would always be new life that was waiting to be born around the corner. So in sharing this statement, right, that I want for us for 2025, which is this line, there is a better way. I also want in this episode to acknowledge for all of you and to kind of have you sit, because so a little bit later in this episode, I am going to give you guys 2 books and 1 tool that I am really I just was like, what do I want to kick off this year for them with? These were the 3 resources that I was like, fuck yeah, I'm really obsessed with these. And in kind of picking this energy of there is a better way, what would I want you guys to be using? It's going to be these things that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But to understand those and why I think it's so crucial, these tools that I'm going to share with you, is because we are so much more complex than we've been led to believe. One of the themes that I've noticed in this 8-year-long journey that I've been on is the word that's coming to mind is like the raping and pillaging of the divine feminine. The divine feminine in the collective and the divine feminine in me. That really happened, if I'm thinking honestly, from birth. It was already raped and pillaged in my mother, my grandmother. So by the time it reached me, by the time I was born, there was so little that they could give to me. And really the reclamation I've been on over the last 8 years of realizing, holy shit, the entire universe is right here inside me. Like, God is not outside of me. It is me. I am the universe. I am the source. I am the one. I love that Jesus, like that was the words he chose were I am. I find those to be some of the most truthful, powerful words of all, because through the experiences I've had over those years, I've come to realize that is the truth. And when we are disconnected from this reality, that we are God, that we are the universe inside, then we don't trust ourselves, right? That is not by mistake, that is by design, that we as women have been trained to ignore these deeper wild knowings, and not even to ignore them, but to fear them, right? I can't tell you, I know right now, most of you feel so much fear when you think about the desire you have to have more, to have deeper, to have more powerful, to have more connected experiences in your marriage or with a partner that can truly see you. That scares the shit out of you, right? Because we've been taught, don't want that. Don't get too big for your britches. Why can't you just be grateful for what you have? And we've become so disconnected from our hearts, from our creative, sensual, sexual energy as women, and along with that, our soul knowings. And what I've learned is, especially for those of you listening to the podcast, right? Yes, we've been disconnected. Yes, there has been raping and pillaging. But damn, are we powerful in that, even with all that has happened, to remove that knowing from us, to hide it from us, to bury it, to literally cover it in tons of patriarchal conditioning and shit and just the Kool-Aid, right? It's still there. It's still there, y'all, or this podcast would not resonate with you. It just wouldn't. Because that's that soul knowing deep inside that manages to call, that little flickering that is wanting to be seen and witnessed and understood. And on my journey, what I've learned when I say like we are infinitely complex beings is there is so much all around us in us that is just constantly peeking around the corners of our psyche, peeking up from our subconscious saying, see me, know me. And I truly believe the greatest task of a lifetime is to come as close as you possibly can to deeply loving and understanding the vastness that is you. Right? This is when we start seeking God within us instead of the external God we've been taught to seek. And when we do that, why do they not want us to do that, y'all? Because when we do that, we realize, fuck this shit. I am not just a cog in a machine. I am not just a robot here to follow whatever orders I've been programmed with. I am the divine. I am a woman. I am wild and untamed. There is no one who owns me. I am here to possess myself. So, with this grand vision expanding within me, getting to share it with you all, of course, like I said, I want to give you some resources to start off this new year tapping into the universe that is within you, tapping into this source that you don't have to go outside to find. And I know these resources will really help you with that. One of the first ones that I want to talk about, and I was really surprised that this one popped in. I haven't thought about this book in forever. I don't even usually list it as one of my main books when I'm sharing resources with clients, but obviously it was meant to come to y'all because it came right back in. But the book the book that connected me into this divine feminine wild source is Women Who Run with the Wolves, as you guys know, right? But the book that helped me start here in real time, start connecting in with what she describes as a team of light is a book called Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe by Laura Lynn Jackson. And I remember when I started reading it, this was really early in my journey. I think it might have been right before I got divorced or right after. I just remember reading it and getting so excited. There were so many moments where I would read it and I would have full body knowings. This is where you read something, you're like, boom, there's truth. I can feel it in my body. The resonance, the frequency, the vibration those words create in you are like, ooh, that's my truth. So there was a lot in this book that felt like truth to me. One of the biggest principles she taught was this idea of a team of light, which is this team of guardians, angels, even potentially, I believe she said, people who have gone before that have loved you, that are all there with you. You are never alone. They're helping you. And the book really teaches you how to be paying attention to their signs. And this was really when a lot of the more mystical and magical parts of my life, y'all, when I say I live a rom-com, I mean it. You guys remember what happened at Burning Man. I have really incredibly amazing magical connections that come through for me with people or synchronicities or that make my life really fun and exciting and allow me to live feeling like, oh my God, what's around the corner? I can't wait. This was the book that really helped with that. So it really opened up so much power and wisdom around source for me. I remember at that time, my connection with the mystical, I really had it only framed previously through religion. And this was another book, same thing with Women Who Run with the Wolves, that really brought me back into the divine feminine perspective rather than religion. And I really, I do, obviously there are truths in religion, but I really feel like so much of the religion of today has been corrupted by patriarchy, right? The truths are buried just under way too much dogma and shame and control for me anymore that I can't even get the truth from it because I'm so triggered by all of the other shit that finding this source, finding a source that comes directly from the divine was really, really heartening for me. And I can't recommend that enough. I think I'm learning more and more. I'm seeing how much the divine feminine has been stripped from the religions of today. And I don't think that's what source, God, the universe, ever ultimately where we're headed or what's meant when it comes to connection with the divine. I think it really is meant to be this beautifully balanced yin and yang, divine masculine, divine feminine balance, which you guys know I'm obsessed with. That's why my relationship is so good, because I've got yin and yang, my partner's got yin and yang. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, so that is my first book recommendation for you all. The second thing is the tool that I mentioned, and I don't think I have glazed. That's what my children are always talking about. They're like, stop glazing when I'm just going on and on about something, but I don't think I have fully glazed ChatGPT yet. Y'all, I am obsessed with ChatGPT. It is one of the most incredible tools imaginable. If you have not tried this out yet, I cannot recommend it enough. I thankfully had someone that I met God, sometime last year, maybe even towards the beginning of last year, who I really wasn't getting on the train. And she's like, trust me, you want to do this. She gave me a few pointers. I dived in. It has freaking changed my world. It's what allows me to create as much as I do with the support and help of it. So the other day, of course, I have been having a lot of vivid dreams, very vivid dreams, y'all. And in the past, I have not been that great of a dream interpreter. I tend to only see what's right in front of me in the dream. I'm like very, very literal. I'm like, why is that dog in a tree? I don't understand. So I had heard that there are people who have created up specific chat GPTs that will speak to you like certain people. I'd heard through my EK coaching program about one that does like Carl Jung dream analysis. Y'all, this tool, so fucking fun. So if you were to look for it, you can download the ChatGPT app and then you'll see, it'll say explore GPTs and just type in Carl Jung dream analysis. It's like the top one. So I went and selected it yesterday. I had a really vivid dream. I ended up just basically describing as much of it as I could, drop it in. And I'm like, help me understand this. Holy shit. It gave back so much amazing stuff. And then I could dialogue with it. That's the other amazing thing about chat. I could ask it questions. I could say, tell me more about this. What do you think about this? And the chat that's been designed is going to be responding to you in a Carl Jung dream analysis way. So you basically can go chat with Carl Jung if you'd like. I highly recommend it. I think it'd be amazing if more of us, listening to the podcast were allowing our dreams to teach us this year. Oof, doesn't that feel so amazing? I think there'd be a lot of magic that could be unleashed through that space. Okay, so the final book that I have for you all is No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz. And wow, I would have to say finding out about CPTSD at the end of 2023, huge life-changing moment for me. Absolutely. I would consider this probably the next, I would say and then existential kink came next for me in my journey last year. And then parts work is really where I finished out the year. And it is amazing. The main concept around parts work is this idea that what we've been told that we are a mono mind, that we are just one person, is absolutely false. He'll right at the beginning of the book kind of break this down for you. And that actually what the reality is we have lots of different parts within us, and that the goal is not to shut down or suppress or cut off these other parts, but to step into a place of really compassionately leading your parts, realizing that there are no bad parts. They are all trying to help you, and finding ways to dialogue and communicate with them out of spaces of curiosity and openness, so that then they can, with your help, reintegrate into the flow. And this is huge for me. I can look back on my life. I have felt so crazy so many times in my life, just very at war with myself. And I think especially, when I was in college, I remember once driving somewhere and sitting in my car, just sobbing and crying and praying and journaling because I just had no idea what to do. And I have so much compassion for me back then, because I'm like, oh my God, not understanding parts work. And then if you couple that with CPTSD, it can create one of the most psychologically painful environments you can imagine. My brain folded in on itself so aggressively that, as y'all know, in 2017, when I sought help through therapy, I was desperate. I had so much suicidal ideation. It was very, very dark. Looking back, I'm like, I just had a lot of parts in there that were needing someone to say, I've got you all. And parts work really has been, I've been noticing lately, it's been the piece that's coming online hard for a lot of my clients that seems to be the tool that we go to that works the best. And in the book, he's going to give you lots of ways to do that. I actually, even before I read the book, I kind of had developed my own visualization where I think of myself, or I'll guide my clients through sitting at the head of this big, huge circular table where all of their parts are sitting, and then they can dialogue or they can interact with them. They can really see and sense them. And it blows my mind how much we'll be having something happening with a part. I'll have them go to that table and I'll ask, let that part speak to you, intuitively feel where they are. And they'll be like, yep, she's on my right. Or they'll be like, oh, she's sitting right in front of me. And then they can actually go so deep into describing what this part looks like, what they're wearing, what they're feeling. And then the part gets to talk to them. It is amazingly powerful work. And then getting to watch as they move out of this warlike antagonistic space with that part. They start to really understand what that part needs, maybe why it's afraid, what it's wanting most. And then getting to, often it's with like younger parts, getting to reclaim, bring them back in. And with older parts, helping them let go. Often we have a lot of older parts that were built as protectors. So I'm excited for these 3 resources to hopefully, allow you guys some yummy spaces to be dropping into at the start of this year. And I kind of want to, before I finish out the episode, this is another thought that came through for me that's been blowing me away in the last week, y'all. But the thought is, what a gift it is to be considering divorce. And what I mean by that is, if you are, right, you're listening to this podcast, you're considering divorce right now, I truly believe that you considering divorce means you're here to be seeding the light, to be one of those on the leading edge of changing the patterns of the past. And that is no small thing. Like, if you are in the crucible of considering divorce, then you are someone brave and strong enough to see the things others can't or won't and stay with yourself. If you are considering divorce, it means you are someone powerful enough to have the conversations that are going to even consider, right? Having the conversations that are going to open the pathways for the evolution and the growth that we as a society need most for the future we want, right? A world where the future is better than the one of the past. And I just want to say, like, so clearly that I do not see those of you considering divorce as the world does, right? The world thinks you have failed. Oh my God, you're considering divorce. Well, don't you know the goal is to stay married? So you must be broken, fucked up. Why can't you hack it like everyone else? No, thank you. No, thank you. We're letting go of that messaging this year because you know what? We have been there. We have done that, y'all. We did do the suck it up, stay in the marriage, try to make it work. And guess what? It's not for us. Staying and silencing your voice and just trying to make it okay as is not the answer. I want more for myself. I want more for all of you. And I am so proud that you have found this podcast and you are even letting yourself do the radical step of even listening to someone saying it's a gift to be considering divorce, that you are a gift in doing this work, in actually having the hard conversations, in leaning in. I want you to know that I honor you. I trust your soul calls. I honor your soul calls. And I truly know there is a better way for us as women to live lives that actually honor our desires and fill our cups from the inside flowing out so that that overflow can then be shared with all of those that we love instead of having to sacrifice ourselves for them. This is just even deeper of an expanded vision for me this year. I am so glad I got to share it all with you on this episode. All right, y'all. One final thing before we close out the episode. I just wanted to share with you, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I've been working with a business coach at the moment, and this morning we were working together and we were diving deep into my 90-minute intensives, and she was like, Britta, this is where it's at. This is such an incredible thing that you are offering. There are so many women out there that just do not know. They are feeling so confused. They don't even know if the community would be a fit. They don't know if one-on-one coaching would be a fit, but this is where they figure it all out. And so I wanted to take a second to just say, holy shit, I am so proud of these 90-minute intensives that I've been offering. That is something new that came on last year. I want to celebrate just how amazing it's been. And I wanted to take a second to kind of drop you guys in and share. I actually had a client from a recent 90-minute, actually she had just scheduled her second 90-minute intensive, who shared a just really beautiful, glowing review with me. And I wanted to share it with all of you. I haven't even added it to my website yet, but I'm just going to read it here. So she said, after just a few episodes of the podcast, I learned I could book a 90-minute intensive session with Britta, and I didn't hesitate. I had been in therapy for a few months, but that single session with her propelled me further than all those months of work combined. It opened my eyes to the beliefs I'd been clinging to, keeping me stuck in my marriage. Britta helped me face the truth about my past and my current reality. She also made me aware of how my partner was exploiting my deepest fears to manipulate me. That first session was pivotal. It gave me the courage to find my voice and provided the non-judgmental support I needed to move forward. Shortly after that session, I gathered the strength to ask my partner to move out and give me space. Divorce is a long and challenging journey, and I'm still navigating it. But with Britta's guidance and the support of her podcast, I've learned that I am a strong, independent woman who can do hard things. I recently had another 90-minute intensive with Britta, and it was just as impactful, if not more so, than the first. It helped me trust myself and my feelings, and it shed light on how much of the past few months have been centered around my partner's emotions rather than my own. Britta has an incredible ability to help you find your voice and get to the heart of what matters. Her intensives don't waste time. They dig deep and uncover insights that you didn't realize were within you all along. If you're navigating a divorce, contemplating separation, or feeling lost, scared, or alone, I wholeheartedly recommend connecting with Britta. Y'all, first off, so much it means so much to have those of you that have been impacted, reach out and send me testimonials like this. I can't even tell you. It just fuels my fire even more. But the really beautiful thing about this review is her sharing that in this one session, she had gotten more than she'd gotten out of her couple months of therapy. This is not the first client to tell me something like this. I have had a previous client tell me that in a session like this, she was able to get in that one intensive more out of it than she did in her previous 6 months of therapy. This is a really incredible all-in kind of 90 minutes for you and me. And I am so just proud of the tool that I now have, which is my brain. Which I have honed over, I don't know if I've said this yet on the podcast, but I have done now over 1,000 hours of coaching. I finally checked my scheduler and there it is. This tool that I have built over all of these years, over all of the personal work I've done, over watching women's brains in these exact same situations over and over, has now made me able to see things just so fast. I can spot the patterns. I can see the blocks with really amazing precision. And what I've seen is it just gets really big breakthroughs for women. I even had a woman who reached out to me that was after just that one session, I was able to go make these big changes, which you saw even in this review, right? She went and made those changes. And I was so proud of her for coming back and doing a second session. We did in so many ways. We were just able to build on the previous intensive that we had done. So in celebration for how incredible this offering is, just what a gift it is, me finally seeing and being wow, this is really magical, and I want to make it easier for all of you. I have excitedly added a new feature going into 2025 where you all can just now text the word 90 min. So that's the numbers 90 and then MIN to the number 33777, or as I like to say, $33,777, and you will have the scheduling link sent right to your phone. Like, easy peasy. God, I love it. That was another gift of my business coach. She was like, Britta, this is fucking amazing. Make it super easy for these women to be able to schedule this. Yeah. So isn't that fun? I just love too that you're going to be getting a text from me. God, I love it. All right, y'all. This has been an amazing episode. Thank you for those of you, like I said, considering the 90-minute, go try out that text service. I will be so beyond stoked to see you face to face on a intensive soon. Bye, my loves.